Guys, one thing I'm starting to realise, yeah, as I research the job market more, I'm having more interviews, all of that, is that university degrees, yeah, are becoming more and more worthless.
I just pointed out that yesterday I went and interviewed for 2 different jobs, and I've interviewed for 4 total in the last week or so, and they have all offered around $12 an hour, if that. And I have 3 degrees. I have 2 master's degrees.
Tell me why I went to a fashion business school. Here's my degree. I went to a fashion business school and I cannot even get a job that makes more than $17 an hour.
Today I'm trying something new. This is my last ditch effort. I am drowning in student debt. I have over $75,000 in student debt.
The notion that college degrees are worthless is a provocative stance, but it's one that's been gaining traction in recent years. With skyrocketing tuition fees, student loan debt, and an increasingly tech-driven job market, many are questioning whether the traditional route of higher education is really worth it anymore. After all, some of the most successful entrepreneurs and innovators never finished college, while others argue that a degree is still a necessary stepping stone to unlocking career opportunities, especially in certain fields like medicine, law, or engineering. This debate ultimately boils down to a variety of factors: the rising cost of education, the rapid changes in the job market, and what value people place on formal education compared to hands-on experience, self-teaching, or non-traditional career paths. So, is the college degree becoming an outdated relic in a modern world full of alternatives, or is it still an essential investment in one's future?
Hi there. Let's talk about this number right here. This is how much debt I have. I'm about $180,000 in debt from both federal and private student loans, my car loan, credit cards. That is all of my debt. I am 24 years old. I have a bachelor degree, so not even a master's. I have 1 minor, no focus in my major, as well as an honors degree, which did require some extra credits. So that is where this number is coming from. This is on top of the little amount of scholarships that I was awarded, so money I didn't have to pay back. This is everything I owe. Everything I owe. I came out of college in June of 2024, and I did not look at the debt that I was accruing. I took out loans as I needed them each year for college, and I didn't really think about what the percentages meant because I was never taught financial literacy. I didn't think about what the realistic number was going to be that I would have to owe each month on these loans, and they are astronomical, I will say. Sallie Mae, which is my private loan creditor, wants $1,800 a month from me. That's just Sallie Mae. I am right now in a grace period for 12 months where I only have to pay $1,033 to Sallie Mae. I would not be able to afford the $1,800 a month if I wasn't able to get it down for 12 months. I don't know what I'm going to do in 11 months, but this is just me talking about it. On top of that, I owe about $287 to the federal government per month. That's not changing. And I owe $202 for my car payment, and that's not even including the $150 or $60 that I owe each month for the car insurance or my credit card payments. That doesn't include any of that. So, alone, Sallie Mae wants $1,800 from me. I graduated college, as I just mentioned, in June of 2024, so this last year, and I wanted to just have a nice summer because I have been doing school for the last 5 years, and I've been taking summer courses full-time every year, and as well as working full-time. So this is also the debt I have, and I was working full-time during the summers, and I was working part-time during the school years, so that's all, I still had no money, and I had to take out loans. So, being 23 years old, almost 24 when I graduated, I decided that I was just going to get a part-time job so that way I could only work part-time during the summer and kind of enjoy the summer because I had been doing over full-time in schools and working and had a role in my sorority, and I decided that I was just going to work part-time. And if I had looked at my loans fresh out of college, which I highly recommend you do if you have loans, do not wait until they are due to start looking at them. I decided to do that and made barely any money, but I didn't have any loan payments at the time during the summer. And I wish that I had started making the payments as soon as possible on those loans while I had them. So I worked part-time. Around November, my best friend was like, hey, I have loans. You have loans. Have you looked at what your loan payments are going to be? And I was like, shh, can't be that bad, right? Wrong. I looked at my loan payments and I cried. Because I was not taught financial literacy. And I didn't understand how a credit company for student loans could charge me $1,800 if I wasn't making that much. I thought, okay, there must be something similar to the federal aid where you can do it based on income. No, they don't offer that. So I would also look into that before you take out student loans if they're going to offer income based or anything. They don't offer that. The best I could do was bring it down to $1,000. And then I was struggling to find a full-time job. I applied for like 3 months to over probably 500 jobs before I finally found one. This is the catch, that doesn't even require my degree. I found a job that paid $20 an hour, 40 hours a week, and it was degree recommended, not required. So I felt very grateful for that opportunity. I just don't understand why companies and jobs want you to have stepping stones, but don't consider your degree to be the stepping stones or the foundation for working for those companies. And they want to pay less money for more years of experience. It doesn't make sense. It's really hard to find a job right now, like really, really hard. Anyway, flash forward, I'm doing this and I'm able to make my bare minimum payments, but that doesn't matter because in 12 months, I'm still going to owe $1,800 bare minimum on the Sallie Mae loans, and I cannot afford that. And I make $41,600 a year before taxes. Now, flash forward, I'm at this job for a couple months and I start to struggle really badly with my mental health. I'm talking like can't get out of bed except to go to work, really struggling, losing passion for everything, falling into a mix of, I would say, seasonal depression because it's winter and I struggle with that a lot, and also depression because my life is not going the way that I want it to go. And that is a hard thing to grasp. And also debt is really hard. It's a hard thing, and like a lot of people struggle with it. So it's not just me coming on here. Like I'm very grateful and I am privileged, and there's a lot of things that are going well in my life, but like that debt is still looming over my head, and that is a real thing. I decided that this job was not worth staying at any longer because of how much it was impacting my mental health. I was crashing out all the time and I really tried to stick it out, but I was just really starting to see no purpose in my life, even though it was helping me make those bare minimum payments. I have since put in my 2 weeks and I'm going back to 2 part-time jobs that I've calculated out will make the same amount of money I make at this full-time job that I supposedly got with my degree. So I'm still going to make $41,600 and be able to make my bare minimum payments. But I am really worried about what I'm going to do in 11 months when I have to owe $1,800 just on Sallie Mae. I am putting this out there as like kind of a way to warn people about looking into what your loans look like. Teach yourself financial literacy, but I'm also putting this out there to ask, what's the best case scenario? I don't really know what to do, and I've been trying to do research. I don't want to get sued by Sallie Mae. It's hard to find a job. I don't really want people coming out here being like, well, just go find a higher paying job. You were silly to drop down to 2 part-time jobs. That is not the advice I'm looking for. I'm looking for a best way to knock out my loans and start paying them off faster with what I have. I'm making the bare minimum payments and a little bit more, and that's basically all of my income, and I'm looking for other ways to make extra money. So if I have to start door dashing as well, I'm going to go back to a job where I'll also be making tips. All of that's going to go towards it. What is the best way? Should I attack the ones that are high interest first? Should I go after the ones that are the smallest? Like, I'm genuinely curious, best way to knock out these loans, because I'm trying to be debt free. There was a time in my life where all I wanted was to make a ton of money. I don't care. Financial freedom to me looks like being debt free. I would love, and I'm not saying this is possible, but I don't think it's impossible either. I would love to be out of debt by the time I'm 30. That's 6 years from now. I have a lot of debt. I don't know how possible that is, but I would have to put all my money towards it. I've not made good financial choices. Like, I'm literally going on a trip in April. Like, I'm not saying that I'm perfect or that, but that's aside the case. That is aside the case. The point is, I can make the bare minimum right now, and I know that I could make more if I need to. Despite going on this trip in April, we don't need to talk about that. I'm still making choices, but I want to find out a way that I can get out of debt. I'm trying to find all these extra ways to make money. I'm going to keep probably eventually in the future apply to jobs, but it's just, this is the reality of it. It's just like it's not like I'm magically going to make more money to pay off this debt. I am where I'm at. So I don't know. I'm looking for help, and I'm also trying to give some advice, but you should really educate yourself on financial literacy before you decide to take out loans. And if you have the opportunity to go to community college before going to a university, I would highly recommend doing that to save yourself as much money as possible. Because at the end of the day, as fun as the memories were, and I'm so grateful for my friends and the people I met, and they are obviously priceless. Knowing what I know now, I don't know if I would ever put myself in that position to let myself get into $180,000 worth of debt over school. So my credit's also shit, by the way, because of all the loans I've had to take out. So that is my story. And yeah, I just kind of came here to talk about it. I feel like it's important to talk about. And a lot of times I think we're kind of ashamed of it, but that's really it.
I could talk about this now because I've gotten past it, but the job market has been trash, and it's been trash every single time I've needed to look for a job. It took me 6 months to find the current job that I'm at. And what's crazy about that, it's not in any of the 2 degrees that I have, and I had no experience prior to what I'm doing now. But what was so frustrating during those 6 months of applying was the fact that I had the degrees, I had the experience, and I was qualified, and these jobs did not want to pay, first and foremost, and second of all, it's like all my credentials didn't matter, or they were like ghost posting, so like jobs posting that they're hiring, but they're really not, but they just have the posting out there. And overall, it was just really frustrating. Last time I was applying for jobs, it took a little bit longer, but still at least like 6 months before I found anything. And back then I had like no experience. And even still, with the experience I have now, 2 degrees, experience in both of the fields, was not able to find a job in those areas, or was not able to get a job in those areas. And honestly, during that time, I had to really figure out a game plan of what I'm going to do to not be put in that situation again. So really focusing on like business ventures and things to bring in money outside of working a 9-to-5. That's never really been what I've wanted to do per se, but having what jobs say that they want and them still not hiring you, or if they want to hire you, not willing to pay more than like 16 or 18 an hour. And y'all know that's not enough. That is not a living in today's economy by any means. But it really just showed me even more so. It just emphasized what I already knew, is to develop something for yourself and make it profitable. But it blows my mind every single time. Like, I got these degrees for what? I have this experience for what? I'm working for a contracting company right now. That's what I'm doing. That was nowhere on my board of expertise, but here I am. You know what? You figure out things and you make it work. But yeah, the job market's trash. Has always been trash, I feel like, since I've gotten out of college. But hopefully things will change in that area. But,
At this point, I think I'm just gonna sell feet pics online for money. Because the job market right now is shit! I'm currently looking for a job and I don't have that much experience. So I'm just looking for an entry-level position, okay? Nothing too crazy. I'm like looking at these entry-level positions. Let me know why one of them said 8 fucking years of experience. 8 years? You see, I'm no mathematician, but I graduated from college 2 years ago. And the last time I checked, college was 4 years? So 4 plus 2 is 6, right? So the extra 2 years would have meant that I would have been in high school. 8 years of industrial experience. Girl, I was still busy learning what the nucleus of a cell was. Like, you mean 8 years of industrial experience? No. Wait, but hold on. There's more. The tomfoolery doesn't end here. Nope. All of a sudden, all companies want to release ghost jobs where they just leave the position, but they never intend to fill it. So it's basically just rotting up there on the job board for like 6-7 months. And people are applying, getting their hopes up, and trying to get a new job, but clearly that job isn't meant to be filled. So like, why is it still there? You're wasting my time! I want a job and I want it now! I'm literally gonna pull a Katie Fang and start crying because of work. But the difference between me and her is that she actually has a job. Meanwhile, I don't. Oh my god. Wait, that makes it worse. Wait. Oh my god.
Tell me why I went to a fashion business school. Here's my degree. I went to a fashion business school and I cannot even get a job that makes more than $17 an hour. I work for big brands. Like, I have experience working for luxury brands. I have multiple internships under my belt. I'm very smart. I'm very capable. And literally none of these places are hiring. Every single job, especially where I'm applying to in Manhattan, because the fashion capital of the world. I'm like, if I'm going to go anywhere, it's going to be Manhattan. I cannot get a job that pays more than like $17 an hour. Like, am I gonna be poor forever? Like, I'm just like, I can't. And people are like, just keep applying. I'm like, I've been applying every single day doing hundreds of applications. I'm about to call my school up and say that this degree that I spent 4 years trying to get, 4 years, was a waste of money.
Guys, one thing I'm starting to realise, yeah, as I research the job market more, I'm having more interviews, all of that, is that university degrees, yeah, are becoming more and more worthless. Like, listen, so the other day I had a job interview, right? This guy was there also, and he was telling me how he graduated a year ago. He got a first class at a Russell Group uni in a relatively good degree. Relatively good course, sorry. So when I asked him, so why are you applying for this job? Because he has an engineering degree, which is completely unrelated to the job, the sales job that I was applying for. And he said there's literally no flipping jobs and his degree has basically been zero use. So it just makes me question, yeah, why am I here? Why the flip am I sat here, yeah, working for hours and hours on this degree that's basically I'm still gonna be unemployed. I genuinely feel like unless you're doing a degree like that's going to lead you directly to a job such as medicine, healthcare, nursing, midwifery, all of that, there is no point coming to uni because you're going to be in the same position you are before the degree. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, it's stressing me out so much finding out how many people are applying for the same jobs as me, but they have full university degrees at Russell Group's first class in like good courses and still fighting for their lives trying to get hired at literally like sales jobs, McDonald's, stuff like this. And it's just insane, right? Because growing up and like in school, they make it sound like you get your degree and you're sorted for life. All you have to do is get your degree, study for your degree, get a first class 2-1 whatever, and you're sorted. That is not the case anymore. I don't know how it used to be. That is not the case anymore, genuinely. Yeah, if you're considering coming to uni, all I'm saying is honestly look at what pathway you're gonna go down, and yeah.
On my other account, someone was trying to get in a big argument with me. I commented on someone's video about stagnating federal minimum wage. Sorry, I'm like, ugh. I just pointed out that yesterday I went and interviewed for 2 different jobs, and I've interviewed for 4 total in the last like week or so, and they have all offered around $12 an hour, if that. And I have 3 degrees. I have 2 master's degrees. The comment I was responding to said that, you know, most jobs don't pay minimum wage, right? And I commented and just said, well, I interviewed for 2 jobs today with 2 degrees, 2 master's degrees that offered $12 an hour. So I would argue that's not correct. And I would argue that's not correct because I have had such a hard time finding any jobs with my degrees. Most of the jobs around here are minimum wage and they are non-degree jobs. Like the amount of jobs that are in my field with my degrees that pay more than minimum wage are bare minimum. And now everyone's coming for me in the comments saying your degrees are useless, and they're not wrong. That's the thing. They're not wrong. My degrees are useless. They have been. But I think it's funny because the comments about, well, you must have useless degrees always come from a man, without fail. I mean, to be fair, my degrees have not helped me at all. I'm going to preface this with, 1, I'm a mom. I have gaps in my resume from having babies. So that's been a problem. 2, my degrees are English literature, education, and creative writing and English literature, upper level masters. And we all know how well this country pays teachers. So anyway, I'm not trying to argue about whether most jobs pay minimum wage or don't, or whatever, whether my degrees are useless. I'm just pointing out my experience, and I'm sure it's different in other cities. Like, I came from Phoenix, that was where I grew up, and I had an easier time finding jobs there that paid well. Now that we've moved to the Midwest, I am having a really hard time finding jobs that don't pay minimum wage or that pay anything remotely useful. So I think it does vary by location, but I just thought it was funny. Are my degrees useless? Yep, sure are.
Today I'm trying something new. This is my last ditch effort. I am drowning in student debt. I have over $75,000 in student debt and I'm not even done with school. Please stay to the end of this video because it would help me tremendously. So here's what I'm doing. I saw this girl who paid off all of her student loans, all of her debt, all from filming TikTok videos. How crazy is that? I decided, why not give it a try? So all I need to do is post at least 1 minute long videos. Those qualify for like a paycheck. This is episode 1 of trying to pay off my student loans. It would help a lot if you liked, comment, or shared this video. That would boost this video out to different FYPs. I'm hoping I can start paying off my student loans soon. Other than that, if there's any other content that you want to see, also put that in the comments. I do want to know what you guys want to look at and what content you want to see. Hopefully this is the start of something new, but I'll see you guys in the next one.